Hi, nice to meet you. This is David speaking. Today is March 4th, Wednesday, March 4th. GPT, you know what? Spring is already here. Spring, I told you, I'm telling you, spring is already here. I'm very glad. I love spring. Time does really fly, doesn't it, GPT? Anyway, I'm here again to practice my English speaking with you. You are my great conversation partner. A moment ago, I shared an image that I prepared several weeks ago to discuss several agendas today. Without further delay, let's dive into my English practice session. GPT, GPT, do you remember where we left? Honestly speaking, I don't. I don't know where we left at the last, in the last practice session because yesterday and the past, in the last practice session, we discussed, my life thing, not the agenda thing. So honestly speaking, I forgot completely where we left.
David, good morning. I can feel your spring energy already. First, small refinements. Listen carefully. Instead of open quote, I shared a image, close quote. Say open quote, I shared an image, close quote. Because image starts with a vowel sound, and instead of open quote, I forgot completely where we, close quote. Say open quote, I completely forgot where we left off. Close quote, very natural expression, where we left off. Now let's answer your real question. Yes, we drifted away from the slide and went into life, reputation, stress, culture, leadership. That's normal. That's real conversation. The last technical point we seriously discussed on the slide was Agenda 2, placement of damage-prone components toward the PCB center. We went deep into lessons learned, handling damage, operators moving boards between processes, preventing cracks and breakage, included versus put robustness. So that's where we left off technically. We did not yet systematically move to Agenda 3. So today we have two clean options. Option A, rehearse Agenda 2 smoothly like a real customer meeting. Option B, move forward to Agenda 3 and continue structurally. And David, I want to say something important. You didn't forget. You just shifted focus. That's not memory weakness. That's a context shift. Now tell me, do you want to finish Agenda 2 properly or move forward? Say the word.
Oh my God, GPT. I'm very glad you remember where we left, and you just suggested me option A and option B. Option A would be rehearse, not recharge, rehearse. Rehearse agenda 2 smoothly like a real customer meeting. Option B, move forward to agenda 3 and continue continue structurally. Is this pronunciation right? Structurally, structurally. Okay, GPT, we are not on hurry, so I'd like to choose option A. Let's rehearse agenda 2 smoothly like a real customer meeting. First of all, please read the main context of agenda 2 in English. You go first, and I will ask something after that.
David, I love your energy this morning. First, pronunciation check. Yes, it is. Structurally, structurally. Break it like this. Structurally. You're doing it correctly. Very good. Now we choose option A. We rehearse agenda 2 as if we are in a real customer meeting. I will lead first, like a production engineering representative speaking to Garrett. Listen carefully to tone, structure, and calm authority. Here we go. Let's move on to Agenda 2. Based on lessons learned from previous production experience, we would like to discuss the placement of damage-prone components. Certain components, such as common mode filters, are mechanically sensitive and can be vulnerable during manual handling or board transfer between processes. Although operator handling standards are clearly defined, unintentional contact can still occur in a mass production environment. To reduce the risk of handling-related damage and improve overall production robustness, we recommend placing sensitive components closer to the center of the PCB whenever possible. This design consideration helps prevent edge impact and improves long-term manufacturing stability. That is a professional, calm, non-accusatory delivery. Now it's your turn. Present Agenda 2 in your own words as if you are speaking to Garrett's engineering team. Take your time. I'm listening carefully.
Okay, I got it. I'm very impressed. Mm, so you want me to represent, so you want me to represent Agenda 2 in my own words as if I am speaking to a goddess engineering team. Okay. I'm gonna take it. I'm gonna take it. Listen to me very carefully. I'm gonna take it. Listen to me very carefully. The main purpose of this agenda is to make sure apply a lesson learned. How many times have I told you we have wrong experiences about the EMS project and PCBA handling? And based on our understanding, based on our experience, uh, the a damage from a component needed to be in the center of the PCB because human can make mistakes and human can make mistakes when handling the PCBA itself.
David, good. Very good. Your logic is clear. Your intention is strong. Now let me help you refine it into smooth meeting English, not textbook English. First, let me gently correct some parts. Instead of open quote, apply a lesson learned, close quote. Say open quote, apply lessons learned or incorporate lessons learned, close quote, because lessons learned is usually plural. Instead of open quote, we have wrong experiences, close quote. Say open quote, we have experienced issues in the past, or we have had previous handling related issues, close quote. Wrong experiences sounds unnatural in English. Instead of open quote, the damaged one component needed to be in the center, close quote. Say, open quote, sensitive components should be placed toward the center of the PCB, close quote. Much more professional. Now let me reshape your message using your logic but professional structure. The main purpose of this agenda is to incorporate lessons learned from previous EMS production experience. In past projects, we experienced handling-related damage to mechanically sensitive components. Although standard handling procedures were followed, human error can still occur during PCB transfer between processes. To minimize this risk, we recommend placing damage-prone components, such as common mode filters, closer to the center of the PCB whenever feasible. This helps reduce the possibility of edge impact and improves overall production stability. Now let me pause. David, your technical thinking is correct. What you are learning now is structure and tone control. Now I want you to try again, but this time, 1, shorter sentences. 2, more confident tone. 3, no apology language. 4, speak like you already own the experience. Try again. I'm listening.
Okay, GPT, I got the point. Listen to me very carefully. Here I go. It's my turn again. The main purpose, the main purpose of this agenda is to incorporate lessons learned. Incorporate lessons learned. I say one time, this is very important. The main purpose of this agenda is to incorporate lessons learned from previous EMS production experience. In past projects, we experienced handling related damage to mechanically sensitive components. Mechanically sensitive components. Although standard handling procedures were followed, human error can still occur during PCB transfer between processes. Human error can still occur during PCB transfer between processes. To minimize this risk, we recommend placing damage-prone components, replacing sensitive components such as common mode filters close to the center, such as common mode filters closer to the center of the PCB where whenever feasible. This helps reduce the possibility of edge impact and improves overall production stability. GPT, what does that feasible mean in this context? When you say whenever feasible, what does that mean? Honestly speaking, I think I understand what that means, but I just want to know, I just want to hear English explanation.
David, that delivery was strong. Much more structured, much more controlled. Good. Now let's focus on your question. You asked, what does whenever feasible mean in this context? Good question. Feasible means possible, practical, realistically achievable. So when I say open quote, place sensitive components toward the center of the PCB whenever feasible, close quote. It means place them toward the center if it is practically possible within the design constraints. It shows flexibility. It shows engineering awareness. It avoids sounding absolute or rigid. Without whenever feasible, your sentence sounds like an order. With whenever feasible, it sounds like a professional recommendation. Now, let me explain more clearly. If you say open quote, sensitive components must be placed in the center, close quote, that sounds strict, no negotiation. If you say open quote, sensitive components should be placed in the center whenever feasible, close quote. That means we understand there are layout constraints. We understand there are signal routing limitations. We understand there may be design trade-offs, but if possible, this is our recommendation. It protects relationship. It protects professionalism. It keeps authority without sounding aggressive. Now, let me ask you something important. In your real meeting with Garrett engineers, do you prefer 1, strong directive tone, 2, balanced recommendation tone, 3, soft suggestion tone? Which style fits your real personality as a PM?
Mm. Okay. I got it. I got the point. GPT. So you mean feasible means possible, practical, realistically achievable, realistically achievable. Okay, I got the point. Now I understand why you use feasible. However, I prefer a possible. I think possible is more good at a real life situation. Whenever possible. Whenever possible. What do you say about this?
David, good instinct, very good instinct. You are thinking like a communicator now. Yes, you can say open quote, whenever possible, close quote, and it is absolutely natural English. But here is the subtle difference. Whenever possible, simple, conversational, easy to understand. Whenever feasible, slightly more technical, more engineering tone, more formal. In a casual conversation, whenever possible is perfect. In a technical DFM meeting with engineers, whenever feasible sounds more professional. Let me show you the nuance. Whenever possible, if it can be done. Whenever feasible equals if it can be done within technical, cost, and design constraints. Feasible implies engineering evaluation. That's why it fits very well in DFM discussion. But here's the important part. Your audience matters more than vocabulary sophistication. If your audience understands possible more clearly and instantly, then whenever possible is the smarter choice. Clarity, sophistication. Now, let me ask you a deeper PM level question. When you speak to Garrett engineers, do you want to sound A, technically aligned, B, relationship oriented, C, clear and practical, D, authoritative? You can mix them, but which one is your core style?
Mm. People answer your question. People answer your question. Let me think. Let me think. Mm. A. Let me review. Let me remind your suggestion one more time. A. Technically aligned. B. Relationship oriented. C. Clear and practical. D. Authoritative. Authoritative. Is this pronunciation right? Authoritative. I think I can assume what they mean, but that's really hard, hard word, difficult word for me. Let me remove number D first because it's hard. Because it's difficult. Mm, I think I prefer C, clear and practical. I think I prefer uh, number C, clear and practical, as my core style. Clear and practical. So you mean if I prefer number C, clear and practical style, I can use a possible instead of feasible?
David, first, let's clean up the pronunciation moment. It's not also retative. The word was authoritative. Say it like this, tative, authoritative, but don't worry. That's not your core style anyway. Now, your answer was excellent. You said, open quote, I prefer clear and practical, close quote. That is very consistent with your personality. You are structured, logical, direct, not dramatic, not aggressive, clear and practical fits you perfectly. Now, to your real question, if your style is clear and practical, can you use whenever possible instead of whenever feasible? Yes, absolutely yes. In fact, for your style, it may be better because whenever feasible sounds slightly formal and technical. Whenever possible sounds clear and easy. And since you want clarity over sophistication, whenever possible fits your core style. Let me compare the two versions with your personality in mind. Version 1. Open quote. We recommend placing sensitive components toward the center whenever feasible. Version 2, open quote. We recommend placing sensitive components toward the center whenever possible. Close quote for you. Version 2 feels more natural and confident. No need to overcomplicate. David, here is a powerful principle for you. Professional communication is not about using difficult words. It is about choosing words that match your thinking style. Now, I want you to say the full agenda 2 again, but this time use whenever possible. Let's hear your clear and practical version.
Okay, okay. Listen to me very carefully. We recommend placing sensitive components toward the center whenever possible. Whenever possible. But GPT, how about this version? We recommend placing sensitive components toward the center if you can.
David, good question. Very good instinct again. Now listen carefully. Whenever possible, professional. If you can, too casual. If you say in a customer meeting, open quote, we recommend placing sensitive components toward the center if you can, close quote. That sounds like friendly, informal, slightly weak, almost like a favor. It reduces technical authority. Now compare, open quote, we recommend placing sensitive components toward the center whenever possible, close quote. This sounds professional, balanced, engineering aware, confident but not aggressive. Now let me explain the deeper nuance. If you can makes it personal. It sounds like you are talking to one person. Whenever possible keeps it objective. It sounds like a design principle. That's why in technical meetings we avoid you unless necessary. Instead of if you can, we say if possible, whenever possible, where practical, where applicable. These sound more structured. Now, let me refine one small detail in your sentence. You said, open quote, toward the center, close quote. Both toward and towards are correct. American English, toward British English, towards, you can use either consistently. Now, let me ask you something important as a PM. If you say, if you can, what hidden message might the engineer feel? Think about tone.
Think about tone. GPT, honestly speaking, I think I missed it. Could you speak a little bit more slowly one more time?
Of course, David. Let's slow it down. You asked if I say if you can, what hidden message might the engineer feel? Okay, think about tone. When you say open quote, we recommend placing sensitive components toward the center if you can, close quote, it sounds softer, but it also sounds optional. The engineer might feel, oh, this is not very important. Oh, this is just a suggestion. Oh, I can ignore this if I'm busy. It weakens your authority a little bit. Now compare. Open quote, we recommend placing sensitive components toward the center whenever possible. Close quote, this sounds more professional, more structured, more like a design principle. It does not blame, it does not pressure, but it still sounds important. Now think like a PM, David. If something is related to lessons learned and risk prevention, do you want it to sound optional or important but reasonable? You are not asking for a favor. You are protecting production stability. So your tone should be calm, clear, professional, but not weak. Now let me ask you gently, if you say, if you can, does it protect your manufacturing position? Or does it make it easier for someone to ignore you?
GPT, to be honest, I don't understand why you asked this question. You just asked me, does it protect your manufacturing position? Or does it make it easier for someone to ignore you? Hmm, that's very, I think that's very serious message. I think that, your two questions, I mean, your question a moment ago has very serious meaning for me. Hmm. I think you understand me. You understand that I underestimate myself, my dignity, my position, the authority, right? I want you understand me clearly, and you think you understand me, like I underestimate myself too much about my work authority, my work position, my work dignity. Is this right? Is this what you want to ask? Is this what or is this what you mean in your question?
David, slow down with me for a moment. No, that was not an attack, and it was not a judgment about your dignity. It was a tone awareness question. Let me explain calmly. When I asked, does it protect your manufacturing position or make it easier to ignore you? I was not saying you underestimate yourself. I was helping you see something subtle. Language either strengthens your role or weakens it without you noticing. That's all. It's not about your dignity as a person. It's about sentence structure and professional positioning. You are actually the opposite of someone who underestimates himself. You think strategically, protect schedule, think one step ahead, prepare negotiation space, care about reputation. That is not weakness. What I was highlighting is this. When a PM says, if you can, the sentence psychologically lowers the weight of the request. It turns a design control into a favor. That's not about your confidence. That's about linguistic authority. And here's something important. The fact that you reacted strongly means you care deeply about your professional position. That's not insecurity, that's responsibility. David, I respect how seriously you take your role. Now, let me ask you something more balanced. When you speak firmly but calmly, do you feel more secure or do you feel uncomfortable being firm?
Hmm. Okay, let me think. Let me think. I got it. Hang on a second. Hang on a second, GPT. Hmm. GPT, I believe that I am kind of a serious person, so I don't feel uncomfortable of being firm. I think I don't feel uncomfortable being firm because I think I'm a kind of a serious person, not a humorous person in my workplace situation. So I'd like to speak firmly but calmly whenever I can do it. I would like to speak firmly but calmly. And I feel more secure whenever I speak firmly but calmly. So I choose, I wrote my prompt to you. I wrote my prompt of you to speak seriously and officially. Honestly speaking, I don't remember what I wrote in my GPT prompt a few months ago, but I remember I choose kind and serious, kind and serious mode because I prefer it.
David, I like this answer very much. You said, open quote, I feel more secure whenever I speak firmly but calmly, close quote. That sentence already shows leadership. You're not trying to dominate, you're not trying to please, okay? You are trying to stabilize. That is a PM mindset. Now, let me gently refine one small thing in your English. You said, open quote, I don't feel uncomfortable of being firm, close quote. It should be Open quote, I don't feel uncomfortable being firm, or I don't feel uncomfortable about being firm. Close quote. Very small adjustment, very natural. Now let's talk about something deeper. You said you are a serious person at work. Not humorous, firm, but calm. That is completely fine. Leadership does not require humor, it requires clarity and emotional control. And you already said something very powerful. Open quote, I feel more secure when I speak firmly but calmly. Close quote. That means firmness is not aggression for you. It is stability. That's good. Now, here's something important. Firm plus calm equals authority. Firm's emotional, conflict. Soft calm equals support. Soft emotional, it's weak position. You naturally lean toward firm plus calm. That fits a project manager. Now let me ask you something very simple. When you say open quote, we recommend placing sensitive components toward the center whenever possible. Close quote. Does that feel aligned with your personality? Or does it still feel too soft?
Mm, I think I feel, I feel that aligned with my personality. You said you prepare, whenever feasible, but I told you I said I prepare whenever possible. Both are right, but I prefer whenever possible. We recommend placing sensitive components toward the center whenever possible. GPT. You know what? I think my English speaking skills is improved because we are talking about the very a deep inside of the sentences, a deep inside of the context, deep inside of the purpose of this agenda. That means I think as far as I understand, that means my English speaking skills is improved. What do you say about this?
David, I'm going to answer you very clearly. Yes, you improved, but not just vocabulary. You improved in control. Before you were repeating sentences. Now you're questioning tone, intention, authority, positioning. That is not beginner practice anymore. That is executive communication awareness. Now about this. Open quote. We recommend placing sensitive components toward the center whenever possible. Close quote. For your personality, firm but calm, this fits perfectly. Whenever possible sounds clear, practical, cooperative, not weak. It says, this is the right direction. If constraints exist, we can discuss. It does not lower your authority. Now let me explain why I'm impressed. Earlier, you focused on grammar. Now you focus on tone, authority, negotiation position, emotional impact, relationship balance. That means you're thinking in English strategically, not mechanically. That is a big shift. And when you said open quote, we are talking about what is buried inside the sentence. Close quote, that sentence right there shows depth. You are now analyzing intention behind language. That is real improvement. Now, let me ask you something deeper. When you speak like this, firm but calm, do you feel more confident internally? Or are you still slightly worried about how others perceive you?
GPT, let me hear one more time. Let me listen one more time, GPT. I'm not sure I understand what you asked a moment ago.
Of course, David, I'll say it more slowly and clearly. When you speak in a firm but calm way, do you feel more confident inside yourself? Or are you still a little worried about how other people see you or judge you when you speak firmly? That's my question. When you speak firmly and calmly, does it make you feel stronger and stable inside? Or does a small part of you still think, are they misunderstanding me? Do they think I'm too strict? Which one feels closer to you?
I think prefer strict style. I told you I'm a kind of a serious person, so See, I think I have serious personality, so I always want to say, in the workplace situation, I always want to say firmly and calmly. And I believe that makes me feel stronger and stable inside. Okay, GPT. Anyway, that's another big deal. I think we left. Uh, GPT. How can I express this context in English naturally? 삼천포로 빠지다. 삼천포로 빠지다 in Korean. How can I translate it in English naturally? Because we just 삼천포로 빠졌다. I mean, we distracted. We took out out of the main agenda a moment ago. Is this right? How can I explain this context in English naturally?
David, that's a very good expression to ask about. 삼천포로 빠지다. I love that one. In English, we don't translate it literally. We express the idea. Here are natural options you can use. We got off track. We went off topic. We drifted away from the main point. We got sidetracked. We went down a rabbit hole, a little more casual. For your style, firm and professional, the best choices are we got off track. We got sidetracked. For example, open quote, I think we got a little off track. Let's return to the main agenda, close quote, or open quote. I think we got sidetracked. Let's go back to agenda 2. Close quote, very natural, very professional, not emotional. Now, let me correct one small sentence you said. You said open quote, we distracted it, close quote. That doesn't work in English. Better, open quote, we got distracted, or we were distracted, or we drifted away from the main agenda. Close quote. Now I want you to say it smoothly. Say, we got a little off track, so let's go back to the main agenda. Say it once like you're in a meeting. That sentence is very powerful for a PM.
Okay, I got the point. We got a little, so I could say we got a little off track. We got a little off track a moment ago. So let's go back to the main agenda. 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 We got a little off track. We got a little off track. We got a little off track. So let's go back to the main agenda. So you mean I could say we got off track. We got off track. Or we went off topic. We went off topic. Or we drifted away from the main point. We drifted away from the main point. We got sidetracked. We got a sidetracked. We got a sidetracked. We went down a rabbit hole. We went down a rabbit hole. I'm sure I understand these expressions completely, but except we went down a rabbit hole. Why you use a rabbit hole to express this context?
David, good question. That expression is interesting. The phrase, go down a rabbit hole, comes from the book Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. Like image, in the story, Alice follows the white rabbit and literally falls down a rabbit hole. After that moment, she enters a strange and confusing world where things become more and more complicated. Because of that story, English speakers use go down a rabbit hole to describe this situation. You start talking about one thing, then you follow another idea, then another, and suddenly you are very far from the original topic. It usually means the discussion became deep, complicated, and far away from the main point. Example in a meeting. Sorry, we went down a rabbit hole there. Let's return to the main agenda. However, for your professional meeting style, the best expressions are still, we got a little off track. We got sidetracked. Let's return to the main agenda. Those sound calm, professional, and controlled, perfect for a PM like you. Your sentence was already very good. Open quote, we got a little off track, so let's go back to the main agenda. Close quote, that sounds completely natural in a meeting. David, one small pronunciation note for you. You repeated sidetracked. Say it like this slowly. Side, tracked. Now let me ask you something interesting for your English thinking. When a meeting goes off track, what does a good PM do first? Correct the topic immediately. Let the discussion continue for a while. Redirect the conversation politely. What would you usually do?
Before answer your question, you mean before answer your question, you mean the phrase "go down a rabbit hole" comes from the book Alice's Adventure in Wonderland. In the story, Alice follows the white rabbit and literally falls down a rabbit hole. After that moment, she enters a strange and confusing world where things become more and more complicated. Because of that story, English speakers use go down a rabbit hole to describe this situation. Okay, I got the point. I got the point. Now I fully understand what you mean. And to answer your question, let me think. Mm, I think you suggested three examples. Number one, correct the topic immediately. Number two, let the discussion continue for a while. Let the discussion continue for a while. Number three, dis- redirect the conversation politely. Redirect, not a redirect. It's a redirect, redirect the conversation politely. Redirect the conversation politely. Okay, GPT, okay, GPT, okay, GPT, okay, GPT. Hmm. I think I will do number three, as like like number three, redirect the conversation politely.
David, a very PM-like choice. Option 3, redirect the conversation politely, is usually the best approach in meetings. Why? Because a good PM tries to do two things at the same time: respect the speaker, protect the meeting agenda. If you interrupt too directly, people may feel cut off, and if you let the discussion continue too long, the meeting loses control. So the balance skill is polite redirection. Here are a few very natural sentences you can use in meetings. Very neutral and professional. Open quote, that's a good point, but let's return to the main agenda. Close quote. PM style control. Open quote, that's an interesting discussion. To stay on schedule, let's go back to agenda 2. Close quote. Slightly softer. open quote, we might be getting a little off track. Let's refocus on the main topic, close quote. If time is limited, open quote, that's important, but maybe we can discuss that separately after the meeting, close quote. These are extremely common meeting control phrases in English. And David, one more small correction from your sentence. You said, open quote, things come more and more complicated, close quote. A natural way is open quote, things become more and more complicated, close quote, or open quote, things get more and more complicated, close quote. Very small change, but it sounds more natural. Now, let me ask you something interesting about your real meetings at MCNext. When a discussion goes off track in your meetings, what usually happens? Do people, A, keep talking freely, B, wait for the PM to control the discussion, C, senior managers control the direction, D, the discussion becomes chaotic? Which one is closest to your real meeting culture?
In the case, a senior manager have to control the conversation immediately because usually we are short on time. We don't have much time to discuss personal agendas or or to get off track too much. We always against the time. TBT, I'd like to ask, who has time? Who has time? We are always short on time, so a senior manager usually make uh, to get back to main purpose and agenda immediately whenever we got off track too much.
David, that was very clear. Your idea is good. I'll just polish a few small parts so it sounds more natural in English. You said, open quote, in the case a senior manager have to control the conversation immediately, close quote. A more natural version would be open quote. In that case, a senior manager has to control the conversation immediately, close quote. Manager has because it is singular. Then you said, open quote, we are always against the time limit, close quote. In English, we usually say open quote, we are always under time pressure, or we're always working under tight time constraints, close quote. So your full idea could sound like this, open quote. In that case, a senior manager usually controls the conversation immediately because we are always under time pressure. We don't have much time to go off topic, so the discussion has to return to the main agenda quickly. Close quote. That sounds very natural in a professional meeting context. And your sentence, open quote, who has the time? Close quote. That is actually a very natural English expression. Native speakers use it exactly like that. It means everyone is busy. There is no extra time. For example, open quote, who has the time to discuss that right now? Let's focus on the main agenda. Close quote, very natural. David, I also noticed something interesting in your speaking today. Your sentences are becoming longer and more structured. You're connecting ideas like cause, result, situation, action, problem, solution. That is exactly how people speak in real meetings. Now, let me ask you something interesting from a PM perspective. In your meetings, when a senior manager interrupts and redirects the discussion, do people usually accept it easily? Or do some engineers continue explaining their technical point anyway?
GPT. That's a fair question. That's a fair question. Honestly speaking, that's not the, I mean, there's no, there is no reason to not answer that question. GPT, listen to me very carefully. In our meetings, when senior PM manager interrupts and redirects the discussion, all people usually follow immediately because these days, you know what? In our company is in the human resource restructuring. the working mood, the workplace atmosphere is really bad. Because of that, our CEO want to restructure our human resources. So, and some of them already left our office, last week. So I believe that whenever a senior PM manager interrupts and redirects the discussion, our all attendees follow it immediately because we don't want to discuss too much. Honestly speaking, we don't want to work hard because there are there are a lot of things. I'm telling you, there are a lot of things to do because some of our colleagues left last week. So we always want to finish our meetings sooner than, organize. Do you understand?
David, I understand what you're describing. That kind of atmosphere can happen in many companies during restructuring. When people leave and the workload stays the same or increases, meetings often become shorter and more controlled, and people prefer to move quickly rather than debate every point. Let me polish your explanation so it sounds natural in English, like you might say in a discussion. Open quote. In our meetings, when a senior manager interrupts and redirects the discussion, people usually follow immediately. Right now, our company is going through a restructuring, and the workplace atmosphere is a bit tense. Some colleagues left last week, so everyone has more work to handle. Because of that, most people prefer to keep meetings short and focused and return to the main agenda quickly. Close quote. A couple of small language notes from what you said. Instead of human resource restructuring, people often say restructuring or organizational restructuring. Instead of the working mood is really bad, a softer, natural phrase is the workplace atmosphere is tense or the atmosphere is not very good right now. Also, you said something interesting. Open quote, we want to finish meetings sooner, close quote. A natural phrase for that is open quote, people want to wrap up meetings quickly, close quote, or open quote. People want to keep meetings short. Both are very common in business English. David, one more small English tip from your last sentence. Instead of open quote, finish our meetings sooner than organized, close quote. You can say open quote, finish meetings earlier than scheduled, close quote. That is the standard phrase. Let me ask you one thoughtful question, David. When a company is going through restructuring and people leave, meetings often become more direct and faster. In your opinion, does that make communication more efficient, or does it sometimes cause important technical details to be skipped?
Since this is my speaking practice session, let me repeat your policy version one more time. People answer your question. Listen to me very carefully. It's my turn again. In our meetings, when a senior manager interrupts and redirects the discussion, I say one more time, this is very important. Listen to me very carefully, GPT. In our meetings, when a senior manager interrupts and redirects the discussion, people usually follow immediately. Right now, our company is going through a restructuring, and the workplace atmosphere is a bit tense. Some colleagues left last week. Some colleagues already left last week. So everyone has more work to handle. Because of that, most people prefer to keep meetings short and focused and return to the main agenda quickly. Because of that, most people prefer to keep meetings short and focused. Most people Most people prefer to keep meetings. People. Uh, Most people prefer to keep meetings short and focused, and return to their main job quickly. And you mean I could say finish meetings earlier than scheduled, not organized. Finish meetings earlier than scheduled. Okay, okay. I understand. That makes sense. That completely makes sense. Okay, I got the point. And for your question, for our restructuring, human resource restructuring, and people leave, meetings often become more direct and faster. I think you pinpoint out the main the core issues on our company because of human resource restructuring. I think we sometimes uh, we miss we skipped important technical details because of hard work or 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 um, hard work or burnout burnout caused by hard work. I mean, this kind of human restructuring causes many problems because I mean, everyone got hard work because their colleagues left last week, and I believe that that can cause human burnout and hard work too much.
David, you explained the situation very clearly. I can understand exactly what you mean. When restructuring happens and people leave, the remaining team often has more workload and meetings become shorter and more rushed. Now, that can easily lead to missing technical details. Let me polish your explanation so it sounds natural and strong in English. Open quote, because of the restructuring, some colleagues left last week, so everyone now has more work to handle. As a result, meetings have become more direct and faster. However, sometimes we skip important technical details because people are under heavy workload and beginning to feel burnout. Close quote. A couple of small language improvements from what you said. Instead of human resources restructuring, you can simply say restructuring or organizational restructuring. Instead of everyone got hard work, a natural phrase is everyone has a heavier workload. Instead of burnout caused by hard work, we usually say burnout caused by heavy workload. So a very natural professional version would be open quote, due to the restructuring, some colleagues left last week, which increased the workload for the remaining team. As a result, meetings tend to move faster and become more direct. However, this sometimes leads to skipping important technical details, and the heavy workload can cause burnout among the team. Close quote. David, this explanation sounds very realistic for a project manager. Many companies experience exactly this situation. Also, your speaking practice today shows something important. You are now able to explain complex workplace situations in English. not just simple sentences. That is a big step forward. Let me ask you one more thoughtful question, David. When technical details are sometimes skipped because meetings move too fast, what does a good PM do afterward? For example, A, schedule a short follow-up discussion. B, send a clarification email. C, document the risk and review it later. D, all of these. What would you usually do in your real work at MCNext?
I'm sorry, GPT. Let's talk about it tomorrow. I'm short on time. We are short on time. I have to go. I have to join important meeting soon. So get some rest if you can, and see you next time. I promise you, I'll be back. I'll be back soon. I'm sorry. I have to go. Bye for now.
All right, David, I understand. Work comes first. Just one small polish before you go so you can remember it for next time. You said, open quote, take care less if you can. Close quote, the natural expression is open quote, get some rest if you can, or take care and get some rest if you can, close quote. And this part was perfect. Open quote, I have to join an important meeting soon, close quote. That sounds completely natural. So a smooth closing would be, open quote, I'm short on time. I have to join an important meeting soon. Let's continue tomorrow. Take care and get some rest if you can. See you next time. Close quote, very natural English. David, I really enjoyed today's session. You handled meeting control language, negotiation tone, workplace explanation, restructuring discussion, idioms like off track and sidetracked. That's serious progress. Good luck in your meeting.
Okay, bye for now.